Live from our studio in Sydney, Cape Breton, it's now time for the Cape Breton Live Rant Room Show with Murray Johnston.
Persuade you to call us. Now here's all you have to do. It's very simple. The number is 270-5331. Call us, our producer will take your first name only and call you back. And then we'll put you on the air and we can have a discussion. There's no slander, of course, no racial remarks, and no profanity allowed. Now, there's no broadcast outlet here, as we've told you on several occasions in the local area, for people to air their views. Now we have one, the Cape Breton Live Rant Show. Every Sunday night at 7 o'clock, you can get on your computer at home and dial us in and listen to what we have to say, listen to other people, and express their views, and then pick up your telephone and call us at 270-5331. It's almost February, in less than 5 hours to be exact, and no better way to usher in a new month than to have a conversation with us on an issue that's important to you. Now, in a few moments, we're hoping to have a call from a gentleman who is going to take a look at some of the things that are happening in our educational system here in Cape Breton, particularly in our regional municipality, some concerns that he has about things that are happening in the classroom and some problems that are being encountered by teachers in the area. Then we're going to put a call through to Kevin Sakery, the councillor for the Glace Bay Portmorion area, and have a talk with him about the opening of the Donkin Mine, which is coming up very shortly. And many of us are looking forward to that and the employment that it's going to provide as well. So Kevin will discuss that with us. We hope he'll be home and able to take our call. And then following that, if all goes well, we have a young lady who is going to come on with me to talk about the very important topic of depression. She's suffered from it and continues and is undergoing therapy, finding it difficult to get in our area because there are so many people who have that particular issue and are looking for someone to lend a hand. And she's going to talk about the lack of government assistance for people like herself and others who are experiencing depression, the way it's affecting their quality of life, and of course their employment, their family life here in Cape Breton. So that'll be an interesting conversation. We hope that she'll be home when we put the call through to her as well. Now here's the number again, 270-5331. All you have to do is give us a call. Our producer will call you back and we'll go from there. We're hoping to hear from our first caller very shortly. Once again, we want to just touch on the fact that the municipality, the Public Works Department in particular, had its hands full on the weekend. Second major storm in over a week struck the area. And my goodness, if you looked at the buildings around Cape Breton, it looks as if they were snow blasted, much like sand blasting. An old-time storm, leaving trees laden with snow, even later in the day and today, as a matter of fact. And many of the buildings covered, and of course the streets are in, some of them, the side streets in particular, are still in what we can only call deplorable condition, but I guess it's extremely difficult for plows to get out and to do a thorough job. Their main interest is, of course, clearing the main arteries and then attending to the side streets following that. So try to be patient with them. No garbage pickup yesterday in some parts of the CBRM, obviously because of the storm and the problems that it created for homeowners trying to place their garbage alongside the curb, and maybe that'll be looked after the following Saturday, or maybe early next week. We'll have to get in touch with the municipality. And there is a number to call, by the way. Get on the line, check your telephone book in the Public Waste Department. They'll tell you, they'll have a prepared statement as to when the garbage pickup will be in your area if you were missed on Saturday. Always a good idea to call, check the telephone if you have a problem with the regional municipality, whether it's police or public works or whatever department, and they'll be there at your beck and call usually to answer your questions and to give you an opportunity to vent and to express your viewpoint and hopefully come up with a solution. Okay, we have a call coming in very shortly from a gentleman we're hoping to hear from. He's been very, very prompt, and he's going to get a call back from us in just a moment. We're going to have a discussion with him, and we hope you'll find it interesting. And if you do, call us and add your point of view as well if you've had similar experiences or know people who have, and for them it's creating a problem in their lives, in their homes, in their families, and you'd like to get on and talk about it. That's the way we create new awareness here in the regional municipality. The same thing we did with the fluoride situation in our water supply. Tremendous reaction to that on YouTube and Facebook following our program, and the comments by some of the people who are strong opponents of fluoride. And that's what we hope to do with other topics as well. In particular, the one that we just mentioned about education in our area. So I think we have a call coming through. We're going to put a call through to Bill, I believe, and we'll have a talk with him as well. All right, there's a call coming through now. We can hear in our earphones, and we'll have a chat. Hello, Bill.
Oh, how are you, sir?
Not too bad. Thanks for calling, Bill. We really appreciate it. Bill, I just want to set the stage for our conversation by mentioning that over the past month or two, we've had discussions with some teachers in the area who've experienced difficulty with students coming back from Waterville and other correctional facilities being reintegrated into the classroom and creating problems for teachers who are not trained to handle it. And of course, the middle of the road and the elite students in the classroom finding difficulty hearing discipline being meted out, interfering with their education. Have you had experience with that or know of teachers who have gone through that process?
Yes, Marion, it's becoming more common than one would hope. I think part of it is that we've instituted somewhat of a continuous progress in the province a number of years back, and the result of that, I think, ends up being that students are moved, even though they have difficulties and challenges, from one year to the next, and 1 year to the next, and 1 year to the next. And what happens, sadly, is they arrive upon grade 9 or grade 10, and because they've been moved forward, they don't have the skills, and therefore they find it difficult to cope, and often that leads to discipline problems that takes away time from what should be happening in the classroom.
Yes, exactly. And has the board addressed that? I mean, have teachers been able to offer their viewpoint on that?
Well, not to my knowledge, Maria, and I could easily be corrected here, but one of the age-old problems for me as a teacher that's been around for 33 years is very seldom are we really asked about what it's like to use in the cliche on the front lines. And often when educators look at promoting a program, they're not there at the end of the game to find out what the actual outcomes are and what impact is paid. You know, I mean, I certainly understand that everyone has a right to an education, but I think we need to add an addendum to that no one has the right to interfere with someone else's education. And that yes, often, far too often, is happening. You know,
Bill,
go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Often you're taking too much time from your day to deal with discipline problems, and in large part it's just because they're not prepared, they don't have the skills, and therefore they fail and they don't succeed, and that, of course, gives rise to potential problems. And so we often spend a lot of time doing that when in fact we should be doing something else. I know it's not an easy problem. I'm not suggesting that. Often our Justice Department have a huge dilemma. Philosophically, I don't think anybody would argue with the fact that it's a good thing for students to come back into a classroom when they've had some difficulties. But you also have to think about the other students that are in that room. And
absolutely.
what the impact is going to be on them. And often that impact is negative. And it's very unfortunate. When you interfere with someone else's education, then there has to be a mechanism that allows for that person to be in a separate place with a different group so that you can continue with the education of those that are there day in and day out trying to move forward.
Bill, I can tell you about a time when I had a grade 9 class in the junior high on the north side who were absolutely outstanding, and I was able to challenge them on many levels, and their parents were pleased, and we were able to delve into topics that you wouldn't ordinarily cover in the classroom. But by walking down the hall to another classroom, there were myriad students who were having difficulty because of family problems or learning disabilities and a lack of support for the teacher. It's quite a situation in many schools today that many people are not aware of. Would you concur with that?
I would, Marian, and again, I think to some extent it goes back to continuous progress and what I refer to as collateral learning. You know, the idea that although we're trying to help the students who have these difficulties and we move them forward to keep them with their peer group, which is indeed important, they learn some things that we don't plan on them learning, and one of those is I really don't have to do a lot to move forward. I can not succeed, let's say, at math or some other subject from grade 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The learning that they get at the end of the day is, well, I really don't have to do much, and someone's going to move me on to the next grade. Well, sadly, that works up until grade 10, when you walk into a classroom and there has to be a certain amount of learning done, or you just can't move on. And that's when they react, and that's when we have the problems, and that's when our time gets taken to deal with it. I don't know the easy answer to that. I know that while continuous progress has an important part in education, we simply have to find a way to stand by. You cannot interfere with someone else's education. They have to find a way to draw a line in the sand.
Do you recall, Bill, the incident in Alberta not too long ago where a teacher was fired for ostensibly giving zeros to students who he felt weren't able to meet the mark as far as he was concerned in the classroom in terms of the standards that he had. And of course the school board took issue with that. And just a sad case. He was given his pay, of course, and remuneration, but not allowed to return to the classroom. It's a sad commentary when that type of thing happens, when a teacher is trying to enforce standards that will better prepare students for the classroom or for university.
Absolutely, Murray. And again, collateral learning. Other people that see this, they learn the same thing. What they see is exactly what happened. If he's entitled to that mark, even though he didn't do the work, then I'm entitled to that mark. You know, and it's like the bad apple in the barrel. We see it in so many ways in education today. We have students who are really having struggles coping with the things that go on in the school and the classroom, so much so that many of them have struggled just getting into the building. And that number is growing and growing, sadly, because they come and they're unprepared and they can't cope. But in the end of the day, that can't be a reason why you get to interfere with someone else's education.
Absolutely, and that's a key phrase that you're using there as well. And Bill, here, let me just throw this out to you. We've heard through the grapevine, and I often don't like to use that as a source of information, but that here in CBRM, or the local Cape Breton Regional Victoria School Board, teachers are not allowed to comment on issues that are current that affect their schools, and even after they retire. Now, is there any veracity to that?
Well, I certainly recall being asked not to speak to certain issues. It was around the last time we were negotiating, I think, and we got some directive that we weren't to be talking about these things, and we've never really had a voice. And I think I blame that partly on our union. We need to be heard, and to some extent we're not being heard about that. So I haven't, as a retired teacher now, been told not to speak, and I would be highly ticked off if someone were to do that to me at this point. But having said that, yeah, too often there's a bit of a gag order on.
Well, that's a sad commentary, I'll tell you. Teachers are, in many cases, the leaders in our community. There are others, of course, but I mean, they have a chance to for students to emulate, their behavior, their thoughts, their standards in the classroom and in the community as well. So it's a very unfortunate situation if there's a gag order out there forcing teachers to not comment on issues in the media because of the fear of intimidation.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't take intimidation very well, but certainly we were told, and I find that's distressing enough in its own self, regardless of what else is at stake there. Just the idea, I've always believed that we should be inviting teachers to speak because often they're the ones that end up day to day living with it and working with it.
Absolutely. I think also, Bill, the point you made about unions not being militant enough or aggressive enough or assertive enough to stay on top of what's happening in the classroom, to listen to teachers, and there's something administrators should learn to do as well. Listen to your staff. They're the ones who are on the front line. That's the way to improve education.
I must have been very lucky that way. I've worked with some wonderful administrators, and I think they get it. I think often the misstep is between them and the next step. I think the administrators that I work for understand what teachers are doing, and they often come to them for advice, but I don't think it moves much further than that.
Bill, listen, I want to thank you for taking the time to call. It's really added to our knowledge of the topic, and we hope that it'll ignite the interest of others who are concerned about what's happening in the classroom and with education in general. Thanks extremely much, or very much, for calling, and we hope you'll stay tuned.
Okay, sir. Thanks very much. Have a good night.
Okay, Bill. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, there's our first caller, Bill, who voicing his and articulating his comments about education, about the continuous process where students are passed from grade to grade. There's no failure or very little of it involved. Certainly not realistic in terms of life out there in the marketplace. And there may be others out there who have a comment about that, who feel the same way, or differ with it, perhaps. And you'd like to air your point of view. So 270-5331 is the number to call. Okay, I think we have another call coming in here very shortly. Yeah, there's the the noise of my earphones going once again. So,
Hello?
hello, how are you?
Fine, fine.
That's good. Your name is?
Lorraine, and your name is
Oh,
Murray.
Lorraine. Someone told me Kevin was on the line. I didn't recognize the voice, Lorraine.
Maybe.
How are you?
When it rang back, I picked it up upstairs. Just a minute, he's downstairs, Mary. Hold on.
Thank you, Lorraine.
Okay. I'm
All
pounding
right,
my foot. There he is, Murray.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Hi, Councillor Sacre, how are you?
Good, sir. Good, and yourself?
Good. It's great to hear from you, Kevin. And have you finished shoveling over there?
We seem to be doing okay so far.
Well, that's all right. I was telling our viewers a little while ago, Kevin, that if ever there's a time when one has to have some empathy for public works, it's at a time like this where the snow is so significant as it was on Saturday and part of Sunday, and they have a difficult time getting the streets in decent shape, the main arteries and the side roads, and people have to learn to be patient.
Yes. Well, I think that's the key to it all. But sometimes some people, Murray, have, for instance, I have some pretty crucial work they have to attend that nobody else will do, and that is people like nurses and doctors and that
Right.
need to get out like ASAP kind of thing. And I had a call, another one from VON, right? And there's patients sitting in their home waiting for treatment and stuff, and so I'm saying if the usually our municipal guys are pretty good, and then sometimes the provincial guys, they're on a priority process kind of thing when they do the lanes and stuff like that. Like for instance, whether it be in Donkin or Portmorion or any other part of the former county area, right?
Right.
So I usually just call dispatch. I mean, I'm not a provincial MLA, but I don't know if the MLAs take calls on the weekends. But but as you would know, we take them on Christmas Day. So we don't have a secretary answering the phone. My wife is my secretary, so.
and a very good one at that. But that's a very good point because the regional councillors are 24 hours, Kevin, as we both know.
24/7, Murray, as you know.
Right, Kevin. I want to touch on the topic of the Donkin mine. You've been associated with it now from day one, from its inception, and that idea has now become a reality, or almost as close to it. Can you bring our viewers up to date on where we are with regard to the Donkin mine, Kev?
Well, now it's. As far as I know, Murray, I haven't been on site, but I've had a meeting recently with the new CEO, Jim Bunn. He came up from West Virginia there, and I had some concerns as to their advertising, and it basically all started from when they had a what do you call it? Holy smokes! I'm lost for words here in the terminology there.
A meeting or a session or
a work.
A seminar.
Holy God!
Well, that's okay.
Anyway, they were advertising for workers from Grand Cache there.
Oh, right. A work fair.
So a job fair. That's what it is. Right, holy smokes! Right. I'm here looking at things on my emails there and trying to talk same time. We'll disconnect that one and I'll dedicate my words here. Sorry about that,
that's
folks.
Good idea.
But okay. Anyway, the issue for me was they went to Alberta when Grand Cache, the mine there, closed. Usually that closes down just before Christmas anyway. So they tried to get their trade workers from that area, but they had they didn't have anything like that as far as the job fair goes for Cape Breton, and I thought it was kind of an insult to Cape Bretoners for the most part.
Right.
When they could have had something similar to that. Although, our unemployment rate, I think last month was somewhere around 14.7%, or 15, and it's gone from 15 to 18 at times, right?
Alarming.
So what's the problem if they had a job fair? So what? You'll get 1,000 applications. Like we've got some pretty good quality people here that are just chomping at the bit to be able to go to work. And, some people have been out of work for over a year, or more.
Right, I realize that, Kev. Yeah. Are we getting close to the point where there's a projection of a date for the opening of the mine?
No, well, I'll tell you, their process they're going through right now is they're getting a certain trades in place. They're doing in the construction phase. They built a warehouse, and then they built a shower, or I should say a shower house and office complex, both somewhere in the vicinity of 120 feet square. Two large buildings they have the other equipment to go down in the mine as of last month, such as a miner and some other heavy equipment, all brand new equipment. They had about $20 million worth of equipment on site, they tell me.
Wow.
So
that's quite an investment, Kevin.
Yeah. So anyway, just hang on one second, Murray.
Okay. All right.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
When my wife calls, I must answer.
Understandable.
But and plus the meeting I had as late as last week or a week and a half ago with the new CEO, they're pretty positive with respect to moving ahead with the construction there. They have some sort of agreement with Nova Scotia Power to do a test burn. Not sure which plant between Pointe-Noquonay and Lingan, but
right.
They're going to do a 400-ton test burn. They're estimating somewhere around March if they can get 400 ton out of the mine there at that point. So, but as of December, that I'm told the equipment was still not down in the mine at that point.
Kevin, a few days ago there was a discussion on another media outlet between Roger Kusner, the MP for the area, and Elizabeth May, the leader of the Green Party, with regard to the Donkin Mine, as you may know. You might have listened to it, I don't know.
No, I didn't.
Nor did I.
But I could probably draw some quick conclusions. Go ahead.
Yes, and speaking about that, Elizabeth, and a group from Ingonish, headed by Mr. Livingston, have voiced some opposition to the Donkin Mine. I mean, before I tell you what I think, I'd like to know what you think about that.
Well, it's quite the coincidence that you would mention that, because I did an interview via radio with a maritime radio network, and I offered my opinions, and all you have to do is sit back and wonder why Elizabeth May is a party by herself.
Yes.
And for this guy to make comments from Marguerite to indicate that they're speaking for Nova Scotians, I would suggest that you might want to count Elizabeth May's votes and see how many people they're speaking for. So, but for me, it's jobs that are extremely important, and I said I used the term. We're looking at bread and butter on people's tables here, and people, for the sake of one mine and one coal burning or two coal burning plants in Cape Breton is like a pretty small dot on the world map when it comes to environmental issues.
That's a good way of phrasing it. Kevin, with regard to the transport of the coal, if it becomes a reality, we get it to the surface, and we all hope that that's going to happen. Has the method of transportation been selected?
Well, and I've asked that from Cameron Colliery's probably since they took possession of the mine down there. I've met with them on numerous occasions, and also as a member of the Community Liaison Committee. They haven't gotten a route figured out in terms of exactly where they're going to go with the coal in the first place.
Right.
Because number one, they have to have a contract with Nova Scotia Power to be able to indicate that they're going to be transporting it. So the province upgraded the main roadway from Dern's Corner through the community of Donkin to Schooner Pond turn there just before the mine.
Right.
And that'll be used for the test burning process, I'm guessing, and plus there's a lot of service vehicles, heavy equipment that has to be transported to the mine. So the province, in their good nature, upgraded that particular road. Now, I did have conversations with the Minister of Transportation, Jeff McClellan, and as well as Cameron Colliery's and the Klein Group in particular, about what's the long-term plan in the event they get a contract with Nova Scotia Power. So, there's a lot of people are wondering about the different modes of transportation. And I'll highlight the three of them, and I've highlighted them in the past, and they're extremely important, I guess, to understand in terms of where they're going, and that's why it's so important that we need to know how they're going to do business in our community.
Okay.
Now, although I'll touch on, just to shift gears slightly, when Jim Bunn tells me that this is a private company and they're private money, doesn't necessarily mean just because it's your money that you're not answerable to anybody.
Right.
But keep in mind, if you're going to use taxpayers' roads to get your product to market, you're going to have to answer to somebody.
Exactly.
So that being said, there are three modes of transportation are being discussed. One is the barging. The price tag on that barging is somewhere in the vicinity of $52 million. In the event that they don't get a contract with Nova Scotia Power. Two is the rail, and the rail is somewhere in the vicinity of $90 million to take it from Donkin through to the Victoria Junction on the Sydney-Glace Bay Highway, or there's an alternate process to take it right clean through to the Spur Road intersection area. So, and the third one is myself and Mayor Clark and Deputy Mayor George McDonald traveled to Halifax approximately a year ago. We put together with our planning department and mapped it out for them a trucking corridor through the woods, so to speak, where they're talking about a possible rail line.
Right.
To run a trucking corridor right clean from the mine right through to the Spur Road. And we did a guesstimate on that somewhere in the vicinity of $30 million. So we, like I said to Matt Fifield, who was a representative from the Klein Group, I said, we're here to save you $20 million. Are you interested? He said, we certainly are.
Oh, so, that's good.
So,
Kevin, what was the cost of the barging once again?
The barging about $52 million.
$52 million. All right.
And what they would do there, Murray, is they actually have a schematic done in terms of actually a kind of a virtual reality type drawing in color, done and laid out for in the event they have to do that.
Right.
But that's, for the most part, pretty much unacceptable from a fisherman's point of view. If you're a lobster fisherman in the Bay of Portmorion or on Myra Bay, clean through to Scattery Island. There's major lobster grounds, in that path.
That's
So,
right. Kevin,
yeah.
just before you go, I just want to do a thank you and acknowledge your leadership on this issue and
Yeah.
the fact that people are, you're accessible to people and you've built up your base of knowledge about it, and I'm sure people will appreciate that. We hope you'll keep us up to date. We'll check in with you a month or so, but I just want to ask you one final question
Sure.
on a totally different topic, and you can just touch on it briefly because we have another caller waiting. Have you received any emails with regard to the use of fluoride in the CBRM water supply?
Not recently, no, I haven't.
All right, I just wanted to check on that and find out if you did. Kevin, listen, thanks so much for taking your call and bringing us up to date. I certainly feel more enlightened about the Donkin Mine now, and let's hope that it becomes a reality and more people will be employed, keep them home here in Cape Breton, and build a viable industry once again, Kev.
Absolutely, and it's a pleasure to chat with you once again, Murray, and wish you well. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kevin.
Good night.
Councillor Kevin Sekery from the Glace Bay Pormorian area talking about the Donkin Mine, and very, very interesting to hear how far along the company happens to be, the various methods of transportation that they're taking a look at, the barging or the rail or the trucking corridor. Each, of course, has its own price tag. Barging 52 million, rail 90 million, and trucking corridor 30 million. And those are probably estimates that will rise. What does not? And of course, except our wages. But those are going to rise, I'm sure, in the future as well once a selection has been made. I think we have another call.
This lady's name is Carrie.
Okay, we have another call or a call coming.
An automatic voice messaging system.
Oh, she's not there, all right.
Okay, maybe Carrie, if you're listening, maybe you could call us back at 270-5331. We've been trying to get through to you and getting a voicemail, so we're looking forward to talking with you. On Kevin Sekery's or Councillor Sekery's comments regarding the Donkin Mine, we'd really appreciate it if you'd come on and have a talk with us about that. A very important topic here for Cape Breton.
This lady's name is Neela.
Neela, all right, here we have a lady coming on the line now.
Hello.
Hello, Neela, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good to talk to you, Neela. We haven't spoken to each other for quite some time.
Yes, I miss you, and congratulations on your new program.
Well, thank you very much, Neela. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, it's about fluoride in water.
Okay.
I believe that we are being forced medicated by the mayor and the councillors. They should listen to Marlene Kane and should also read more reports, especially because it comes from a phosphate fertilizer industry. And also, Murray, about our children, our prized possessions.
Yes.
They are ingesting fertilizer in their formulas and drinking water. And another thing, I'd like to know what reports are there out there to let us know why it is so good for our children's teeth. And the scary part of it all is, what is it doing to the rest of our body, especially in our brain? Now, our rights are being violated. Our community did not say yes to fluoride, and our taxpayers' money is being used unnecessary. So I was just going to tell you about my teeth. They're in perfect shape. I do not drink fluoride in my water, and I drink water from the country.
Right.
And the last thing I have to say is an email was sent to the mayor and to the councillors, and I didn't get a response.
No, we asked Councillor Sekery about that, if they had received an email, if he had received one with regard to the fluoride situation, Neela, and he said that he had not. And yet our caller last week, Debbie, told us that she had sent one to all of them, hoping to get some kind of response. Look, regardless of how they might feel, Neela, about the issue or don't want to raise it, I can tell you one thing: if you acknowledge ignorance, it's the first step toward finding a solution. And that's one thing they have to do. If they're not fully aware of the dangers that fluoride poses, at least put it on the agenda, allow people to come in and talk about it, and get the community more fully involved, and then perhaps we'll get some action on the issue. There's no harm in saying, look, maybe we weren't correct in doing this in the first place. Let's have another look.
Oh, Murray, you are wonderful. Thank you so much.
Well, you're very welcome, Neela, and thanks for calling, Neela. Good to talk with you, and keep in tune with our program, and perhaps we'll get back to you another week.
Okay, you have a nice evening.
Thanks, Neela. Bye-bye. All right, that's Neela who called with regard to the use of fluoride in our water supply. Our producer is going to try to get back in touch with Carrie. She tried to reach us before. We called back, and as you heard, we got the voicemail. So we'll try once again to get through to her. She's an extremely interesting young lady, and I think that all of you out
Call
there
has been forwarded to not.
will have an opportunity. Will enjoy what she has to say. We're getting the same response. Once again, Carrie, if you're listening or watching, 270-5331. If you can call us back. For some reason, we're getting your voicemail again. And we want to thank Neela for calling in about the fluoride situation. She's another one, along with Marlene and Debbie, who called. Debbie? Debbie, yeah. All right, I think we have another call coming in now.
Hi.
Hi, Deb.
How are you?
Not too bad. How are things?
Good, good, good.
That's good. What's on your mind tonight?
I am calling to... Okay.
Debbie, can you turn down your radio there, or
I keep doing that. Hi, how are you? I sent an email to the secretary at the office of the councillor and mayor, and she was going to send it to each of the councillors, and I was hoping that she did so.
Right.
I'm disappointed to hear that Kevin didn't get it.
Maybe you should check on that tomorrow, Deb.
I'll certainly do that, because that was, I was waiting for a response, and she's really good down there to send your emails into and to give it to the councillors, and I don't know why they didn't hear from her. But
right.
Fluoride will always be an issue with me, and I still think that it's against our rights. It's against the rights for them to keep putting it in. More discussion definitely needs to be spoken about fluoride, but how do we get them to get it out of our water? Because that's what we want. We want them to take it out of our water.
Right. Well,
we
it's
are force medicated, and we're tired of it, and we just want it to get it out. And I mean, 16 councillors shouldn't in the first place vote to keep it in.
And
they
once again,
decision, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And once again, Deb, I just want to bring it to your attention and to our viewers as well, those who are listening tonight and watching, that this happens to be 2016 election year, yes, municipally, and it should be an election issue. There are all, the port development, and there are some other issues in the local community will be on the agenda for discussion at community meetings and so on. You people, those of you who are opponents of the fluoride, who are leading the way here, and I commend you for that, should make it a point to go to community meetings that are going to be held in the months down the road as we get closer to October, and get this on the floor for discussion.
We're certainly going to do that, Murray. We're going to try our best, and we're trying to get the word out there. We really appreciate your show, but again, the councillors need to be held responsible for what they did. And if we need to get them to change that, we want that fluoride poison taken out of our water, and it's got to be done. I mean, common sense says if it's harmful and it's a poison, get it out, and that's all we want. Exactly,
and I commend you for taking a leadership role there, and Marlene and Neela and the others who are with your group. But keep up the good fight there, Debbie, and I think that we'll see results in the near future, and stay in touch with us in the weeks ahead, will you please?
Okay, and if I hear from one of the councillors and the mayor, I'll certainly let you know, Murray.
Please, Deb.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye-bye now. All right, that's Debbie talking and commenting on the issue with regard to fluoride in our regional water supply. Just want to check with our producer. We have that other caller, Carrie, whom I want all of you to hear. I hope she'll take the time to call back. We're going to try to get through to her once again. For some reason, she did call and was anxious to talk with us. We did call back twice and got voicemail. We're going to try again. She wants to talk about depression, and that's a serious issue for many of you out there. We know that. And those of you who are having difficulty, it impacts family life, person's employment, relationships with partners, and of course it has a financial impact as well. We're not getting through it. Carrie, if you're listening, we hope you are, call us again at 270-5331. Here we have a call coming through now. It might be she who is on the line. Let's hope so. Once again, keep in mind that the 1st of February is tomorrow. No? No, we did have a call come. Nobody answered that time?
No, just getting our voicemail.
Okay. Continuing to get the voicemail. I think what happened there was that she did call us, and while she was waiting for us to return the call, someone must have called her. And therefore her line is busy, but we'll keep trying. Once again, keep in mind tomorrow is the 1st of February, believe it or not. It's the month for lovers, so they tell us, on the 14th. And you have, 13 days or so, those of you who are so inclined and so moved and inspired to look after your significant other, whatever form he or she may take. So make sure you set aside a few dollars or do something creative, do something on your own to acknowledge the person who is important in your life. And that's on the 14th of February. We'll touch on that as we get a little closer. And of course, the Sunday before, the weekend before, happens to be football Sunday, and that is going to be Super Bowl. And that's perhaps the premier event in North America, and that's no exaggeration. Just take a look at what will be in the flyers this week from the various stores about Super Bowl specials. So take a look for it, watch it, and I'm sure you'll be down to the local stores to buy your supply, whatever it might be, or go to your local watering hole, and along with others for a party for the Super Bowl, which many people think is going to be somewhat of a sleepy event because they don't think the opposition is significant, that looking at Carolina as being a much better team than Denver. Well, people thought that last week about New England, didn't they? And they got quite a surprise. So time will tell on that one. I'm sure many plans are being made in both camps as to how they're going to deal with that. And that's next Sunday. Now, we may not be on next Sunday. I know I have something planned as well, and our producer and I will talk about that. And if we're not on, we'll let you know well in advance, and we'll come back the following week. But we'll certainly let you know.
Kansas will have a lot of callers Saturday.
Yes, that's right. Kansas Snow, his program will be on next Saturday, 11 until 12, on the same place on your computer, capebretonlive.tv. And if you want to talk about the Super Bowl, he often has people calling in asking for his point of view with regard to pro line picks, and that'll be paramount, and I'm sure on the minds of many people as they get closer to a week from today on Sunday when the Super Bowl will be played. And so make sure you, if you're interested in having a talk with Kansas, give them a call, 270-5331, next Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, capebretonlive.tv. He's a very knowledgeable guy, interesting, and knows how to conduct a conversation on events that are sporting in nature, no matter if it's hockey or basketball, harness racing, whatever. Give him a call, and I'm sure he'll keep you interested and keep you informed.
What do you think of Bill's chat, Murray?
Bill?
What do you think of his?
I was really intrigued with Bill's discussion earlier tonight on about education in our system, and he's very, very upset about the fact that we are in the midst of what he calls a continuous process of grading. Students who are passed on from grade to grade, they don't experience failure in most cases, not in all, but in most. That seems to be the philosophy of the Department of Education, and put them through whether they're qualified or not. That doesn't happen all the time. We acknowledge that fact, and there are some students that simply can't make the transition, but for the most part, it's a policy that is adhered to. And whether it's realistic and whether it's good for the students in the long run, that's a question you as a parent or as a citizen or a taxpayer should be asking. So make sure you think about that. Get in touch with your local school board official. You know, they're coming up for election this year as well. We don't often hear from them except at election time. We hardly know they exist, but of course there are school board meetings that you can't attend with regard to that. So something to keep in mind, and Bill made some excellent points tonight. He's a retired teacher and certainly knows of what he's speaking. And his comments regard to the gag order placed on teachers as well in the school system in terms of not commenting on stories that might be in the media, absolutely deplorable and should not be happening. There should be no gag order whatsoever, and the teachers union ought to be aware of that and stepping in and doing something about it. Now, if it's not a fact, you know, we would apologize, and we'd like to hear from people in authority who say that's not true at all. But we've heard from many sources that unfortunately that is the case, and it's an alarming situation, if indeed it is. Now we're going to try to get through once again to Carrie. Hopefully we'll get past the email that, no luck there, our producer tells us. And we're going to have to check the clock here now.
You got about 10 minutes, Murray.
10 minutes left in the program. So those of you out there who are watching and listening and say, hey, that's an interesting topic, interesting discussion, it intrigues me, it piques my interest, well, show us, demonstrate that. Call us at 270-5331. We'd like to hear from you. It's the Joe Blow and Jane Doe who make up our community, and we'd like to hear from you.
We're going to a commercial, Murray.
So we're going to go to a commercial now, and we'll be right back on Cape Breton Rant.
Hi, I'm Lindsay here at Defiant Darlings on Charlotte Street. Come on in and check out our wide selection of women's alternative fashion, pinup, punk, retro, and rockabilly. And don't let that scare you away. We have something for everyone, from conservative tops and pencil skirts to skull print dresses and roller skates. Fashion that fits your personality as perfectly as it fits your figure. We've been open for almost 5 months and we've had a great response so far. We invite you to come on down to the shop and check out our inventory at 230 Charlotte Street, right across from the Capri.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Cape Breton Live Rant program. I'm your host, Murray Johnson, and our producer is with us again tonight on the other side of the screen. And we'd like to hear from you. We've had a really interesting program here tonight. Several calls on a variety of topics, and we appreciate all those who took the time to get to the telephone and give us a call at 270-5331. We still have time to go before 8 o'clock if you'd like to get on. We'd like to hear from you.
Try her one more time, right?
Give us a call at 270-5331. We'll try that number for Carrie once again. She was going to talk about depression and how it's impacted her life, and she certainly is one of many out there who are suffering from that illness, and it has a tremendous effect upon an individual's life. And I know that what she has to say will be of real interest to all of you out there, particularly those of you who are suffering from depression. So we're going to make an attempt to get through to her once again, and hopefully we can get her on the air to discuss this very important topic. No luck once again, eh? Well, that's unfortunate. Perhaps we can persuade her to call us back. If not tonight, then the following week.
Yeah, whenever, yeah.
We can explore the topic in greater detail.
But do you think the fluoride issue is going to be a topic in the next election, Murray?
Well, I hope it will be. I think the people who are in the forefront, the vanguard of the movement on the fluoride in our water supply will attend meetings and make sure it's raised from the floor and get a reaction. And if the councillors have received an email, and Councillor Sakari said that he did not yet, but let's find out if they actually did receive an email about it. And if they did, it's common sense and common courtesy for them to respond to the general public, and in this case, this faction, this group who want the issue raised once again, so that we can have a discussion about whether fluoride ought to be in our water supply. Keep in mind also, Mr. Producer, that it's not used in the city or the town of Lewisburg. Why is that? It's used in other parts of the municipality, not in the community of Lewisburg. Why? And if it's not being used there must be a good reason, and maybe it's something that we should be looking at here as well in terms of removing it from our water supply. It's been well documented.
Lewisburg, it's not used in Lewisburg, where else?
Not in Lewisburg, and of course not used in many communities throughout Nova Scotia as well, but in CBRM it's not used in Lewisburg.
Or is there any other?
No, all the other parts of the municipality have fluoride in their water supply. Except Lewisburg, that's right. And if it's not used in Lewisburg, there obviously is a reason, or there are reasons, and they should be explored by the council, and they should certainly listen to the group who are opposing the use of fluoride, get it on the agenda, have a meeting about it, publicize the fact, allow the general populace to attend, and then I think everyone will feel that there's an adequate discussion. If motions come to the floor, wherever that might be, to have the topic raised once again for the discussion to take place, then so be it. And if the opposite occurs, well, that's the part of the democratic process as well. All right, that's about all the time we have, I think, tonight, Mr. Producer, and we thank our callers for getting in touch with us tonight. We certainly enjoyed speaking with them on the topics that they raised. we hope for you, those of you out there who will watch this program throughout the week on YouTube and Facebook, will say, hey, that really piques my interest as well. I'd like to get on the show next week, next Sunday night. Now, once again, I don't think we'll be coming at the same time next week because of the Super Bowl being on Sunday night. But whatever time we select for next week, certainly our producer will let you know. So keep an eye on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll keep you informed about that. In the meantime, have a great week ahead. February starts tomorrow. We hope it's a good month for you, and we thank you